Hi guys, welcome to another episode of The Aspiring Entrepreneur. Happy Friday. It is our daily stock recap. In this video, we just go over some of the stocks that we cover on our Sunday night update, go through some of the trades that I personally take, talk about stock tips, and also I have some additional stocks that I traded that I want to go over with you guys today. I hope you guys are having a wonderful Friday and a wonderful week and enjoy the weekend and take some time off, refresh, and we'll get started on Monday. So for Apple, Apple today was down about 0.5%, and it was down 63 cents. One of the things that we talk about, and maybe we don't talk about enough, is buying a pre-market. I do trade pre-market. I am a pre-market trader, but we talk about try not to hold positions from pre-market into the opening unless you have a high conviction rate. And the reason why is you can see how many times this Apple essentially was pumped up to 138 pre-market, and you can see it went all the way down to 136. So if you're buying and you're not sure, for example, maybe you can take a quarter position if you really need to get in pre-market, but I really would advise against it. And this is what you're waiting for, right? Is those initial orders. And so you can see that Apple at 138 was a sell. And what's interesting too is this red line, which we identified previously as a resistance at 136. Look how sort of perfectly, really, these 15-minute candles are bouncing off the 136, right? And we know that when a resistance is broken, it then becomes a support. And so we can clearly see that the 136, which we identified on previous trading days, that's now officially a support. And we'll keep it red just because we validated it today. Let's just make sure we see what comes in next week. And so again, the fact that we're trading above the Bollinger Band on the upper half, we said there is some bullish sentiment towards Apple. Ideally, we wanted to get down to this 50, but you can see now the 50 is coming past the 130 DAB sort of support that we had earlier in the week. And so, this could be right back like we expected, trading between, the 130 and to the 140. And as we consolidate, this Bollinger Band will come closer together into a channel. And then let's see what the next leg up looks like for Apple. I mean, a lot of these stocks were beaten down after earnings, and now they're simply just retracing themselves. But you can see from 145, which was the top at pre-earnings, down to 130, which is about a 15-point drop. You can see that happened over 3 days versus look how many days it's taken just to get back half of that move. And so that's why these stocks are kind of slow. You can still day trade them, but like days like today, you had less than still a 2-point move. So the spread's really small. So there's not a lot. So I actually personally didn't trade Apple today. I did want to get into Tesla, and so for TSLA, it was up about 0.25%. And so similar to Apple, we identified some previous resistance and support lines. So our support that we identified yesterday was 835. That's what I was waiting for today. I did have an order in for a long. I was waiting for a bigger flush. We didn't get there, and you can see clearly that when you have a series of 15-minute candles, that are forming a base, that's a pretty good stop out if you were to buy along and you weren't sure where your risk is. So if you see, for example, after the second candle, which is basically engulfing this first candle, the red candle, that would have been my stop, would have been this level here at 840. But there was just so many tickers I traded today. So, again, it's all about what you can sort of manage and what your game plan is for the day. But, Tesla was just solid. And clearly we can see that this resistance that we've identified at 860 is giving Tesla some issues. And so we've identified that. We hit that perfectly. We got rejected. So until we can actually get above that and close above it, 860 will be continuously the resistance. And, so we're trading between 835 and 860. And again, not nothing too exciting for Tesla, but, it was still a pretty good move. It has a pretty good 20 point spread. So you can definitely trade that and find some trades in here. And so again, if you're buying pre-market, you're right, you see that morning sell-off. And again, it's Friday, options expire. There's a lot of variables that you have to take into account. So just be careful with what your position size is. And then once you, of course, like I said, you see this sort of consolidation and it holds a level, you can now go in for a long, okay? And then for Palantir, I did trade Palantir first thing in the morning. I do wish I held on to it. It was up 6% today. Was not expecting such a solid day. We identified previously a soft support at 32, and we validated that perfectly. So again, morning sell-off, and then we closed right above the 32. So I actually got involved, I believe, at 31.90, I think was my first entry. So I actually got a really good entry to Palantir. And I was so busy with so many tickers today that one of the things that we should talk about, and I need to personally work on, is just being able to stay in the trade and just let it work for you. Because what most traders do, which is 1 for 1, or if you're a scalp player, you're looking for 25-50 cents. I mean, this was really a good move all the way from today's low was 31.75 and the high was 35, so it was almost about a little under $4 spread. And so just buying anywhere here, you essentially could have rode the momentum, and then once you sort of saw that there was a double top, you could have just sold off. You could have saw the wicks got longer, and then there was a sell-off. And so we clearly hit a $35 support, or excuse me, resistance line, and we had that about a few days ago over back here. Okay, so we can see clearly that we've supported and validated the 32 several times. We've closed above it and right below it. And now that we've broke through it, which again took a lot of volume in the morning to break through that resistance, now we essentially hit the next resistance at 35 and we closed above the 33. So in theory, essentially the 33 now would also become another support level for the stock. So again, great move for Palantir. We have earnings coming up pretty soon in about 11 days. So, again, as this sort of wild moves that we've had this last few days consolidates, and again, it's trading on the upper channel, I see us just sort of bouncing around in the 30s. And then, like I said, if we see a run up to the 40s before earnings, then I would definitely be selling my position, or most of my position, going to earnings and then rebuying it back on a pullback. If we don't run up to earnings, then you can always buy, obviously, in the low 30s. And we have identified 32, 29.50, and then ultimate buy zone, heavy buy zone for me personally would be 27.50 for Palantir. And then one stock that we've talked about, I didn't trade personally AMC today. I do sell puts, but I didn't sell any puts today. But again, what was acting like a good support for us, strong support at $8, has broken down completely. And so now that it's broken down, you can see here it's acted as resistance. So today, first thing is we hit a high right here in the first 30 minutes of the trading day, and it looks like it was a high of 827, right? So we got rejected by what was previously support. So again, if you're bag holding AMC, you can sell calls at the strike price, which is what you've bought them for, every week, and make premium until we see AMC sort of kind of come back and maybe retrace some of this movement that it's had these last few days of selling off. And so we're down under 7. I think that's still a great deal. Unlike GameStop, AMC moved a lot, but if you're bag holding AMC at $7, $8, $9, it was a $5 stock before all this craziness, right? So realistically, you're not in such bad shape compared to like those who did GameStop at like $500. So the play here for AMC is really just looking at the $8 as the resistance, and then finding the support here where we essentially found the buyers around 650. And so come on Monday, let's see what happens, if we get any more momentum, or if it essentially is shifted. So GameStop, same thing, wild play. It was actually up 20%, and I actually did trade GameStop today. And so let me just kind of describe to you what I'm thinking when I'm trading GameStop. So again, I'm going to refer to my 15-minute chart. And so I always mention that a lot of my plays for GameStop and AMC, I don't do gamble plays. So what am I doing? I'm selling puts. And so I don't care to buy any shares, so I'm selling puts. So right when it open, keep in mind, when you sell puts, they're worth more the closer to the price of the stock. So for example, at when the stock opens up here around $52, if you're selling a put at $50, it's worth a lot more than selling a put at $40 or $30, okay? But like I mentioned, my goal ultimately is not to bag hold GameStop or any of these stocks, so I usually do them out of the money. So I basically sold 3 sets of puts today on GameStop. They were solid green. And the first one was at 33. The second one was at 40. And believe it or not, I actually went up as high as 50. And so when we had this parabolic move and this ultimate squeeze, we squeezed all the way up to almost $100. This is where you basically cover your puts, right? So if you bought or you sold any puts down here, right, for let's just say $5, and then all of a sudden GameStop has this massive move, right? Those puts are probably worth like cents on the dollar, and they're all expiring today. So they're not something for the future. They're expiring today. So I know based on the price action, I'm covering and managing my risk. And so at the end of the day, you should be selling puts at what price you're comfortable potentially bag holding the stock. So if you're okay with bag holding GameStop at 50, then you can sell $50 puts. And so what I did was, as I'm reading this price action, I'm selling puts. So when it's trading at 52, I'm selling like 33. I don't want to sell 50. It's too close, because if this thing tanks and it closes at 40, I'm now $10 in the hole, right? And so based on where we're trading, that's where I get. So I actually started doing 50s, believe it or not, when we were trading in the high 50s, sort of bottom 60s, just because I could see where the trend was going and what levels we're holding. And so as long as we consolidate in a tight range, which we really did in the high 50s and sort of low to mid 60s today, you know, you were fine. And so I kept doing that and kept recycling them. So what you do is, as GameStop sells off, right? So whenever you have these sort of massive sell-offs, like you have here, right, and you're oversold, or you could say even here and you're oversold. So anytime you have these flushes, right, you can sell them, and then as you sort of recover or consolidate and recover, you can buy them back. Okay, and when there's sell-off and there's volatility, right, I mean, these can sell for quite an amount of money. So to give you an example, you know, the $50 ones, I believe we're selling upwards over, was it, you know, $4 or $5 today at open, and then at the end of the day they're trading, you know, 15 cents. So you sell something for, you know, $2, $3, $4, and you cover at the end of the day for 15 cents. What's your profit, right? So there's a ton of ways to make money in options. If you don't want to get involved with these stocks, which are super volatile, you know, the options game has been solid for me. It's been my biggest play of the year by far. And so a couple stocks that I do want to talk about that are sort of in addition that I traded today. One is TTOO. And a lot of these garbage stocks, we don't talk a lot about them, but, you know, these are squeeze plays. These are plays where these stocks are, you know, they don't make money. They have no revenue. They have no income, and they gap up. And this stock literally gapped up for the same reason a month ago. And so, you know, like we always talk about in shorting, you can look left and see where it has problems. And so the last high volume day was here, and you can see that, you know, it had trouble, you know, right here around the 290 range. And so you kind of know what levels to look for, but it was the same news today, which is that the COVID variant that the TTOO Biosciences, the T2 Biosciences or whatever has, their vaccine works on essentially the variant. And that's old news. That's been out for other areas. And so that anytime you hear that news, because it's COVID related, the stock pops. And so what I looked for right off, and this is something I did trade in the pre-market, is I'm looking for, you know, these levels here. So clearly it's having issues right here at about the $4 range, let's call it, right? So you see clearly it can't break $4. So if you're going to short this stock, you know where your risk is. Your stop's going to be right around $4. And so you can see that really from the start, it just fails. And that's what this stock has always done. You know, you'll start, as you trade more and more, you will start to get familiar with some of these tickers, and you're like, oh yeah, TTOO, what did it do last time, right? And their behavior doesn't change, right? So they get pumped, they hold their key levels, and then they just dump. And so I basically covered, and I believe I got back in right when I saw another opportunity when it was getting pumped up again as essentially a short reload, and I knew it was going to fail again. Now it still held the $3 level, but more or less this thing will break down coming Monday, right? It's just, they just hold the key level. Maybe they pump it up here to about 315, 320, but it's the same song and dance. Is that these are garbage stocks. They get pumped up on just whatever news, and then they always fail. And they have so many outstanding shares. So just to push this stock up, it's going to take, you know, millions of shares. You can see that we traded 83 million shares. Okay. So again, look left, see where some of the issues are. You can see it actually went up higher, and then you can see it actually closed a gap right here, right? So if today, this high was at 292, and you can see the low today was at 294. Okay. So it closed a gap. So we kind of knew where the thing was going. And so, like I said, I expect it to fail. No worries. My first time, Peloton. A lot of you guys, you fitness gurus, love to work out. Peloton, don't be upset. I did short the stock. If you're a fan, I'm sorry, but you know, earnings, obviously the stock tanked, and you're trading kind of close to all-time highs. I mean, it's gone up quite a bit, and you know, you could tell from the sell-off, sort of the key levels. Again, what they do is they'll pump it up to, you know, to 150, and they did that pre-market, and then they sold it off. And so I was just finding short scalps along here. I was trying to get in for a long, identifying the bottom, but I was within about $1 or $2. I think I was looking at it looks like it was 142, and I was looking at the 50-day. So if you look here at the 50-day, I was looking for a bounce at the 50-day, which was 140. So that's why I missed the long. But I did scalp short twice, once in the pre-market to opening, and then once we were here. And again, the play is like, look at this double top, right? And so let me go into more detail on this play, so we understand what we're looking for. So let me tell you where, because the opening is really where the interest is, even though it ended up recovering most of its losses for the day. If this computer won't stop lagging here. And so what you want to look for are the levels that it's failing at, right? So it gets pumped up and it dumps, okay? And now it's trying to make a higher high. So we know what the high is at opening, and it's trying to make that higher high, and guess what? It fails, right? And it tries again. And this level, I believe, was 148. Yeah, it's 148. And so you can see that it's trying to make a higher high, it fails. It tries again, fails, tries again, and it just gets stuck, right? And so when the stock can't break a key level, what is it going to do? It's going to fail. And so this time it failed from 148 all the way down to that 142 level. Okay, so you could have, if you didn't short at open, right, and you noticed that this trend was breaking down, and again, let's say you shorted this, right? Let's say you shorted the 148, this would have been your stop right here, right? 150, or you could have done 149, right? You could do a 1-for-1, but this would have been your stop right above this key level, because if this thing breaks out, right, then you're off to the races. And then what do you think it did at the end of the day, right? It broke out right up here. So you would have, if you shorted and didn't cover, right, you essentially would have been on the losing side of the trade. So it sold off, bounced off the key level 142, came back, and then it made newer highs. So I think the stock's fine, but just an extra extra stock to talk about. And I traded a couple others. I think one had like a failed drug, and those always tank. Those are easy shorts to do. And so it's a good day. Awesome. Can't complain. Been a great year so far. And with that said, guys, we will do some new tickers on Sunday. Look out for that Sunday night update. Hope you guys, take some time off, enjoy the weekend, and I'll see you guys back on Sunday. Bye-bye.